I booked the sauna on level 2, what the steam made us admit. I didn't book the sauna to sweat. I booked it because steam tells the truth sideways. At 11:41 p.m. my phone lit with one of those messages that uses every correct word and still arranges them like an alibi. Donor dinner turned into a late tasting. Team might crash at the office. Don't wait up. My wife has manners that can pass any audit. She also has a throat that flushes when the calendar loses its courage. The colleague who makes the room tilt in that direction is the operations lead, Evan, with a role of gaffer and a knack for standing the exact respectful step from married women that makes you trust him, which is a trick only weather and saints should pull. Our building has a pool and a sauna on level 2 behind a glass door that doesn't like being surprised. The night attendant knows me from the months I used to outswim my nerves. The dry or the wet? She asked without judgment. Wet, I said. For an hour. She scanned my card and murmured the only law worth having after midnight. No trials after 2. I stepped into the small cedar room that smells like clean decisions and set the timer like a man who wants to see what 45 minutes of honesty can cook out of a body. I wasn't there 3 minutes when the door opened and my wife stepped in with her hair caught up in a way only the day could have argued her into. She closed the door and leaned against it, not coy, not cornered, just the kind of tired that makes rooms forgive strangers. A beat later, Evan appeared, looked at me, looked at her, and set the towel he'd been carrying on the handle like a flag of jurisdiction. Your hour, he said. I'm heading to the van. He glanced once at the temperature gauge. He is the kind of man who honors dials, and then he left as if the steam had asked him to be decent and he had remembered the instructions. Adam, she said to me, in the voice she uses when a room deserves the best version of her. You booked weather. I booked a room with rules, I said. Steam keeps better records than glass. She sat on the lower bench, the way people do when they mean to be believed before they ask to be forgiven. I stayed on the top step because height is a habit I am trying to break. The heat lifted everything that wasn't necessary and handed it back politely. For a while, we just breathed. Say it, I said. In an elevator, she said. 2 weeks ago, between floors, between nouns, I kissed him. It was quick and it tasted like mint and rehearsal. He stepped back. He said my name like a lock. I hated him for being correct. She watched the steam billow as if it might arrange itself into a better story. Tonight, I almost went to the hotel. I didn't. I came here. I wanted to hit him, I said. It came out smaller than I deserved. I wanted to hit me, which is worse. We're not in charge of anybody's face, she said. We are in charge of the thing that happens when your hand finds my wrist and I remember the color of daylight. I moved down to her bench and put 2 fingers on the place that tells me whether the continuity of us has been renewed. Her pulse decided to cooperate. Mine did the math it always forgets in the kitchen. The steam laid itself across her collarbones like an honest necklace. I kissed her shoulder because the room had asked me to, and she turned into it the way a good door turns on purpose. Invite me when you're interesting, I said against her skin, not just when you're frightened of your own weather. I am inviting you, she said. Let's see if the law holds when we turn it into heat. The cedar room is not for folklore. We kept our suits and our lives. We pressed mouths hard enough to forget we were good at mercy. I slid my palm down her side until the elastic interrupted me, and then I stopped because rules matter more than theater. She put a hand at the back of my neck and pulled, a gentle violence I respect. We made a sound the room agreed to keep. Do you still want to hit him? She asked when the steam decided we had earned sentences. I want to thank him for stepping back, I said. I want to owe him nothing else. Then we have a budget, she said. When the timer fell silent, we cooled down in the hallway under the ugly fluorescent that keeps the pool from lying about being heaven. Evan came back with a coil of straps over his shoulder, and the look men wear when they hope they have passed an exam they weren't allowed to study for. I handed him a bottle of water I hadn't promised to buy. He took it and nodded and did not ask for a receipt. At 9, he said to my wife, load in. At 9, she said to me, softer breakfast. At the center the next morning, the room smelled like lemons and competence. Volunteers moved like modest weather modeled on a good mouth. Evan was already stacking tables with the care of a person who knows grammar. He saw me and measured his nod to the exact degree I could live with. I returned it because necks need employers. My wife walked through the room with a clipboard and a grin that could persuade gravity. When she passed me, she touched my wrist, daylight legal, and the morning did what we asked. We lifted tables and taught chords the word please. When a knot refused to be line, Evan held the free end and I pulled, and my wife spoke the magic of yes. At noon, when the donors tried to buy the weather, we sold them competence and took back our names. Evan packed the van with the quiet efficiency of a man who expects to be allowed back into the story. I let him. We never told anyone about the sauna. We didn't have to. On nights when our house tries to audition for courtroom, we take the elevator to level 2 and ask for 45 minutes. We sit in heat until the frivolous parts of us steam off and the necessary parts remember which verbs belong to which mouths. Sometimes she texts come and means stand next to me while I make a room move. Sometimes I text come and mean watch me be a body before I become slides. Sometimes we get the dry room because laws require variety. The attendant always says the same thing, no trials after 2. We pay cash. We return the towels. We leave the door open a little so the next people know kindness is recent. We didn't stop admiring other people's competence. We did stop confusing it with permission. Heat is a temperature, not a verdict. We eat before we try to win. We sleep when the clock loses its manners. We put our hands on each other in daylight like the sun issues licenses. And when the city asks if we have anything to add, we say that we booked a small room with rules and used it to remember what our mouths are for. The steam tells the truth sideways. That's enough.